Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. I know that we just did a back update, but I want to do a back update because there's been something has happened in the last few days that I want to talk about, and that is that I've been to a PT. So Monday was my first appointment with a PT, which is kind of the intake and figuring out what's going on process. And then yesterday was just a kind of maintenance, go back, check up, whatever. So Monday, of course, when you go to a PT, there's an interview. Like, what's the problem? Where's the pain? Show me what hurts. Why does it hurt? Have you had any medical history, any accidents? Where is this all coming from? And we talked about, she said, why did the doctor send you here? And I said, well, because the doctor said that my insurance wouldn't approve an MRI without the PT. And she said, okay. And because I have no disc between my L4 and L5, PT is not going to help that. Like, there's no way she can stretch my spine or something to make that fix that problem. But there could be an underlying problem outside of the arthritis, outside of the degenerative disc disease that's causing me issues. And she did an evaluation, and I was just like, okay. Her results were, or her speculation, we'll call it speculation, was to, what she said to me prior to yesterday, I would have believed is quackery. Like, just complete quackery. That's not how things work. But I saw evidence yesterday that makes me go, huh. At least anecdotally, maybe it's not quackery. What she said to me on Monday was that one of my legs was shorter. Not for not because my bones were different lengths or anything like that, but because my hip was out of alignment and that she needed to do an adjustment. Now, to me, that sounded very much like chiropractic quackery, which is true. It is. But maybe it's not quackery. It's just that is something that chiropractors would address is, joints being out of alignment. But in my head, that's not a thing, right? There's a ball and a socket. They're either together or they're not. And if they're not together, that's a dislocated joint. So she had me get in some weird position, turned me over, said, okay, that's better. Sure. There was I felt no physical change, no nothing. She gave me some exercises to do and sent me on my way. Did the exercises Tuesday, did the icing that she recommended, all that stuff. Fine. Felt okay. Yesterday, we did the podcast interview. I did the podcast interview from here. So when you watch it, whenever it happens, I'll cue you in on it. Did it from here, and so I sat on this stool for like an hour and a half while we talked. And by the end of that, my back was on fire, which I believe is mostly a posture-related issue. So I went back to her last night, and she said, how's your pain? I said, it's pretty bad, actually. I'm in quite a bit of pain right now. And she goes, okay, let me check you. And she goes, yep, you're out of alignment again. And she goes, whatever. And I was just like, okay, And then she had me lay face down, and she basically just shoved on my hip, on my pelvis joint, like kind of a hard massage. And eventually she was satisfied. And then she had me do some exercises and showed me some new exercises she added on to my routine. And then, I got up to leave, and I felt great. Fantastic. Like, mild ache. I walked in there, with gritted teeth. I left with mild ache. And so I don't know. I don't know. Can your hips come out of socket? I suppose that if the musculature is not in place that to hold the ball firmly seated, it can shift, and that could cause a problem. Which maybe it is, because, like I said, anecdotally, I left there yesterday feeling pretty good. And according to her, once she's done with the manipulation, my legs are the same length. which seems to suggest that she's pushed my hip back into its proper place. Now, I don't feel any of that. I didn't feel suddenly there was a movement in my hip or anything like that. It's not like a dislocated joint. I didn't feel that, but I don't know that that's not true. The question is it true? I don't really know. I grew up going to a chiropractor, and I never really saw any benefit from that whatsoever, other than I remember being on he had this table that I laid on, and it was like a vinyl table, and it had this thing under it that would roll up and down your back. I loved that thing. I could lay there for hours. But other than that, I don't know that I had any real results from that experience. And I went there for months and months and months. And post that, I've learned that the science of chiropractic sciences are essentially made up stuff. Like, it's not real. It's a kind of scheme, I guess, or I don't want to say a cult, because I don't think that's. I've heard people call it that. I don't think that's what it is, but it isn't medically recognized science. It's just procedures, whatever. And this felt very much like something that would come from that. Like, okay, sure, my hips are out of alignment. You're just going to push them back in or something. I don't. But maybe it's the truth. I don't know. Like, we're going to keep an eye on it, obviously. I'm going twice a week, exercising twice a day, doing her exercises twice a day, plus my normal exercises and walking, icing it 3 to 4 times a day, that kind of thing. And we'll see what happens. I mean, she seems to think that we can strengthen the glutes and the hamstrings, and we can strengthen everything around my hips and keep everything locked together in a better way. But at least with one session of evidence, I feel like something happened. Do you have any experience with that sort of thing? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today we are switching to 1,000 plus little things that happy, successful people do differently. And we are in part 1, happiness. And we're going to learn 5 character traits that make you happy. Okay? Today's character trait that makes us happy is courage. Fear is the great thief of happiness. It sneaks in closed doors and robs us of resolve and the commitment and ability to endure the challenges we face. Courage, on the other hand, is fear's great nemesis. It allows us to challenge our comfort zones, approach people and situations, embrace life, and accept the pain that's inevitable in all of our lives. Without courage, happiness is little more than an illusion. I believe fully in courage, and courage is not the lack of fear or the absence of fear. Courage is the willingness to work despite the fear.